Hey, my name is Shane, and the question is, do you feel like you're finding faith or losing it, and how does that make you feel? I think it's probably both for me. I've been a follower of Jesus for the last 20 years or so, and grew up in the church all my life before that, but made an intentional commitment about 20 years ago or so. And I think that in reality of the last 20 years, the answer to that question is both for me. There have been a number of times I can recall where I feel like I have been losing my faith in Christ, just through doubts and questions and struggles with how it's been presented, occasionally the message, uh, the existence of God at times. There have been loads of other times, probably even more abundant, would be times where I've been encouraged where I feel like I'm finding faith in Jesus or growing into deeper relationship with Him. It's kind of strange this question came up, and I just came across it because I did a blog post recently from something I read in Rolling Stone. It was an interview that Chris Martin from Coldplay did, and it gave a little insight in his upbringing himself and his very churched background that he came from, and some of the baggage, I guess, that he carries from that experience. And I was just thinking about his journey a little bit and about my own, and I guess what it really said to me or reinforced was that in all of our experiences of Christianity or Christ, that they're actually incomplete at best, mostly because God by nature is inexhaustible, and we can never fully wrap ourselves around Him. It's a progressive understanding of who He is. But they're incomplete, and we must choose to pursue Christ then as a lifelong adventure to perpetually come into greater clarity about who He is and what He's about, not only in our lives, but in the whole world. And in some ways, it reminds me a little bit of the apophatic tradition um, that is negative theology, some people call it, which is demonstrated through a guy called Pete Rollins' new book. Sorry, I should say last book called How Not to Speak of God. And in some ways, we must hold to our current understanding of God loosely enough to welcome new insights and revelations about His character and be willing to unlearn or give up things that we thought were true up to that point. I don't mean everything about God, but some of the stuff that we've picked up that's more because of our cultural expression of following Jesus, our our own unique family's perspective, tradition, our denominations slant on following Jesus, whatever it might be. And so just understand that God is bigger and beyond us and inexhaustible. And I suppose it's those times where I feel like I've been finding my faith. So I'm losing it regularly through questions and doubt and struggles, which are good and I see essential part of the journey, and finding it regularly through new insights, revelations, and just through the comforting reassurance of God's presence with me, regardless of how much of a handle I feel I have on Him. And it reminded me of a quote too from American Trappist monk Thomas Merton, who I really like a lot. And I'll just read it because it says something really useful that I don't want to mess up by trying to quote it or paraphrase it myself. It says, "One cannot begin to face the real difficulties of life of the life of prayer and meditation unless one is first perfectly content to be a beginner and really experience himself as one who knows little or nothing and has desperate need to learn the bare rudiments." And this is the part that I remembered. Those who think they know from the beginning will never, in fact, come to know anything. We do not want to be beginners, but let us be convinced of the fact that we will never be anything else but beginners. And that quote gives me a lot of courage and a lot of confidence in how the journey is progressive and it's an adventure with Jesus. So I feel I've both lost my faith and found it many times over, and I think that's the way it'll be from here till my journey moves to the next stage someday. Thanks.